welcome to this episode of In Search for Courage and Meaning. I'm Abi Keene, your host. I'm a healer, a body worker, coach, and I am mainly a human being in search for my own courage and meaning, having so much fun talking to other fellow beings about their courage and meaning in their own lives, and so happy that they're willing to share some wisdoms and struggles with us so that we can all get inspired by their stories. And so today I have with me Morgana, and I am so excited that you said yes. And I'll tell you why, and I'll tell anybody out there why before I ask you to introduce yourself. As you probably know, I mainly work with women in their midlife and beyond who are ready to kind of come out of hiding and claim more of themselves and allow their own self-expression and who they are now to come out, and be shared with the world in whatever levels. Like sometimes it comes out in like a job or an endeavor, and sometimes it's really just a feeling inside and translates into relationships. But it's really this like moment of I need change. What is the change, and how do I go about it, and how do I not stay stuck in what no longer serves me? So I'm giving this little spiel because this is where you come in. To share your story to inspire those of us who want to make changes like you made. And so will you be willing to introduce yourself?
Okay. So hello, I'm Morgana. I am presently a music curator, DJ, art curator and event producer. I consider myself and tell people I'm a corporate dropout. I spent many years, several decades, in fact, in marketing, branding, and advertising, which I was drawn to initially. What attracted me, looking back on it, I realized was that I saw, to me, it was a sweet spot. It was like this intersection of business and creativity. So when I was in college and I took some ad classes, and I thought, oh, this is kind of interesting. You have these kind of creative types, this creative energy. It's kind of whimsical. It seemed like they're having fun, but there's also at the root of it is business, is some real business. And I thought that seems like a good place. So I was a suit for many years, and traveling and making presentations and working on strategies and rebranding. And then that carried me into another chapter when I moved from the city up to Rockland to have a family. I came here expressly to have a family, and I found myself at this wonderful school here in West Nyack that I wanted my children to go to. And so then I pivoted a little bit, and once I moved up here, I said, that's it, I'm done with that. I want to do something more creative. I had taken some classes at FIT when I lived in the city and thought about starting a business, like a vintage inspired clothing line. But then I realized that market is super saturated. They do not need another brand. So I was like, okay. And I looked at a lot of different things. And then, so I thought when I came up here, I was like, that's it. I'm just going to move on to something else. However, I wanted to continue that for this little school, Blue Rock School here in West Nyack, which I love dearly. And I thought, well, that's something I can really put my heart and soul into. So I did that for another 10 years so that my children could experience that. But then they moved on. They graduated, and then I kind of found myself sitting there thinking, what am I really doing here now? And then what really kind of propelled me into this new chapter was, honestly, I went with a good friend of mine, a mutual friend, Beverly, and our children, Nico and Gabrielle, and we went to see Bohemian Rhapsody, which came out a few years ago, if you remember.
Yep.
Growing up, Queen was a part of my life soundtrack, so to speak, right? It was just out there. It was, wasn't one of my favorite bands by any stretch of the imagination, but I enjoyed them. And so I thought this movie would be kind of fun. It changed my life.
Really?
Well, I mean, it certainly just lit something inside of me, ignited something inside of me. I really didn't know much about the band and their backstory and their personal lives and whatnot. And I was just so taken by Freddie Mercury and his charisma, and he was just his creative genius. He had such flair, and he just lived his life the way he wanted to live his life. He just didn't seem to, he's just such a force. And I was so inspired by that. And the fact that he, you know, was in the music business and he was just so successful and he's just a legend, legendary. So
hold it. I don't want to skip over this. So what did you recognize at that moment inside yourself? Because I feel like as I'm listening to you, it feels like there was this longing, like it like almost like awakened a longing in you for something that wasn't that like you were not living like that. Can you say a little bit more?
Well, I can actually. I was kind of thinking about this earlier this morning, that I first identified not as an artist per se, but as an artistic person, as an artistic being when I was about in first or second grade. I remember winning some kind of an art contest. It was something to do with some nature conservatory conservation group. And I had done this beautiful landscape of flowers and trees and a stream. And I don't know, they put it up in the window at the general store. This was in Maine. And I got a certificate and I was in the newspaper and I was like, I'm an artist, I'm artistic. So that kind of branded me at an early age as being a creative, kind of a creative type, you know, and then I feel like I kind of got not lost because it's, you know, you can be multifaceted, you can be creative, you can be an entrepreneur, which I consider myself to be both, but that was in me. And I feel like it became kind of latent and it got kind of suppressed. And maybe there was something about him that was just so dynamic that it just kind of ignited that little creative spark in me. Yeah. And so what it encouraged me to do at that point I was like, I want to be in the music business. I love music. I'm so passionate about it. I always have been, not that I forgot about it, but it was like, now my kids have moved on. I felt like it was an opportunity for something new. A new chapter. So what I immediately started to do actually was interview professionals, executives in the music industry to just kind of figure out the landscape, what it looked like, what was happening, what was trending, what people were doing, and then how would I plug myself into that? So just friends of friends, I would just tell everybody, hey, do you know anybody in the music business? People in radio, promotions, festival promoters, sales, you name it, anything, agents. And I'd get into these conversations and we would just chat either online or in person. And like, inevitably we'd be like 3/4 of the way through the interview and they'd be like, so why do you want to be in the music business? And I said, well, because it's fun. And they would laugh. Okay. So then this was, I don't know, the summer of 2018. I ended up traveling with my son, Damien, who was a BMX biker. We wanted to go to this Camp Woodward out in Western Pennsylvania in Amish country. So we went out there for a week in late August. And for some reason, they had this beautiful DJ booth, but it was empty the entire week. And I would go by and I would look at it and I just studied it and I looked at it. And I don't know, the idea just took hold of me to be able to play music or, you know, on this 200-acre campus for all these kids, these skaters and all this stuff. And it just kind of started to really not eat at me in a negative way, but it just kind of consumed me. Yeah. And I could kind of fast forward to, 3 years later, we ended up going back to Woodward for him to go to camp. And I did actually DJ and I have a little video of it and I have some pictures. And so that was, you know, that was kind of the beginning, but I had already kind of started my career. But it certainly inspired me. And that's how I became kind of focused on that. So first it was like, I want to do something creative. It's music. It's a DJ. And and in the beginning, I really thought it was more a little selfish, I guess, because I love music so much. And I thought, oh, wow, to be able to spend all my time, you know, listening and going down all these little rabbit holes and finding this group and that band and just being able to like enjoy it and then share it. And so you find this little gem when you kind of polish it and you dust it off and you share it, you put it out there. And when other people are kind of vibing with what you enjoy, I can't even explain what that feels like, how. Yeah. And so, but for me, because I've also, when I was at Blue Rock School, part of my job, you know, just to make money for the school, to raise awareness. So I staged a series of events. We did house and garden tours. We did art auctions. We did barn dances. But at the heart of it, for me, what was really exciting about any of those events was showcasing emerging artists. So whether they were visual artists, whether they're a musician, I thought, wow, this person is so talented. People need to hear them and see them and see what they're doing. This is, this is amazing work. So that's also part of it. So when I'm sharing my music with people for them to enjoy, but I feel like I'm also creating a platform for the artists, for the musicians. And that actually goes in line with my philosophy as a DJ. I see a lot of DJs out there and they're remixing and they're kind of putting their own little imprint, they've got to mess with it a little bit. And for me, the music is really sacred. And I really respect artists. I do believe artists are divine and they're here for a reason, many reasons, but one of them is to enrich our lives and to bring color and joy and just make us really, for me, it's what makes the world go round. It's not just getting caught in that little hamster wheel and consuming. And, it's just like being able to just exhale and just take in the beauty and the music and the art. And so whenever I can, help kind of showcase an emerging artist and give them a voice and give them a platform. So I always make this analogy. If you were in somebody's home or at a gallery or at a museum or anywhere, and you see a work of art, and you say, wow, that's stunning. That's really amazing. Maybe you're talking to the artist or whatever, or you're talking to a friend and you're like, well, this is pretty cool. But what if and you kind of put a little splash there or a little dash, or you did a little flourish or something like, you wouldn't hear of such a thing. Nobody would do that, right? Nobody would ever consider touching somebody else's art. But with music, it's fair game. It's organic. It's fluid. We've got the technology. Hey, I can do this. I can add this little thing. And it's just like, no. So what I really try to do is honor the music and then just find a way to, as artfully as possible, kind of like stitch the songs together. So it just feels like one long fluid piece. And the greatest compliment, and I have received it a few times, and people say, I can't tell when one song ends and one song starts. It's just so seamless. And so that to me is a compliment. But the best compliment is when somebody comes up to me, and they just did the other night. I had a gig at Hotel Nyack here, and a woman came up to me at the end and asked me for my Instagram and said, she goes, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, your music is so healing. And your music is just, it just transports me and it just makes me feel good. And I've had women come up to me at street fairs and I'm, wherever I'm out there DJing, and they just say, wow, like, you're amazing. And I'm like, no, I'm just playing music. They're like, no, you've really got something here. And so I don't know what that is, but I'm just going to keep doing it.
So, but hold it. I feel like now you just led us to kind of like the end of the story, and how much, like, once you break through, like, whatever it is that might be holding you back, whoa, look at the potential out there. You can do something and feel so good and so on purpose with it. Like, just the way you're talking about DJing, it's so alive in you, and it brings you alive, and how it makes you touch others, and there's this whole relationship between like your audience and you. And I can see why, having kind of transitioned into that has been such an amazing thing for you in your life. So now I want to take you backwards a little bit, because there's many people out there that might have something that they want to do, but really lack the courage to make the changes in their lives. So I'm wondering if you're willing to share a little bit about, once you realize that you need a change, what were the challenges there for you? And I also know that you've made more than just like change your job in your life. And I'm wondering if you're even willing to share about that. But like, did you have to encounter any kind of fears in yourself, or like self-doubts, or, you broke into an industry that, to me at least, and I know nothing about DJing, but I always feel like it's very like young people's industry. And like, how was that for you?
It's when you bring up age, that's a whole other topic for me that I feel really passionate about. And so that's a little sidebar. I am going to just devote a couple seconds to this because I think it's integral to what makes me tick and what drives me. I mean, age is completely irrelevant to me in anything that I decide to do or think about or consider. So many things that I've learned to do or, in the last few years, I'd say in the last 3 or 4 years, when I left the school, I just kind of went through a whole transformation. I started doing a lot of different things. I was starting new projects and really kind of flexing my entrepreneurial instincts and so starting new projects. I was freelancing and starting to create events, and I started modeling. I started bartending. I started surfing. I just felt this.
Whoa. You started modeling?
Yeah. So people had been just for a long time. Just, are you a model? You used to be a model? And I was just like, no. And then I kind of did a little research and I realized that, people my age, actually there was quite a market for it. And so I have a friend from the Blue Rock community who's a photographer, Al, and we decided to just do a shoot. What the heck? We went to Rye Beach and we did a series of different setups, and I just submitted some work to a few different agencies in the city, and they contacted me immediately, like the next day, and just said, come on in. And so I signed with an agency, and I had my first show with New York Fashion Week in September of 2019. And it was surreal. It was crazy. I'm just sitting in the chair, getting my hair and makeup done with all these, like, to me, they look like professional models. And I was like, what the heck am I doing here? That was a little scary, but it was really fun. And I just kind of kept up with that. Just, I don't know. It was fun. So I started doing that.
Do you have it all? Because I'm hearing a lot of fun and like excitement. And did you not encounter, like, for you? Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to ask that because I'm asking it from my point of view, which is like, oh my God, how scary is that? And oh my God, I'm like in my whatever 40s, 50s, I don't know what, and all these youngsters and blah, 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 am I good enough? Like, can I do this? Like, I can hear my own projection of self-doubts. Were you just kind of flowing with things?
Yeah, I was just kind of, I guess, the fact that I was there, that they chose me for whatever reason, I guess I belonged there, so I just stopped questioning it. And I just tried to, again, just be present, be in the moment, and just kind of be and just live it and then just enjoy it. And believe you me, I was second in line to go out on the runway, and it was a big production, and photographers and editors and all this stuff. And I'm like the second in line, and my heart was definitely skipping a couple of beats. And, but I just tried to relax and enjoy it. The music came on, and that's, if you like the music, it's like, I felt like a racehorse. Like I was ready to go. I was just like chomping at the bit, like, let's go. And, I don't know. I was nervous, but I wasn't afraid, I guess. It's a difference, because you can harness that nervous energy and you can kind of use that to emote, you can project that, right? You can just kind of, so I guess that I tried to do. And I'd never really had any performance experience. Like my daughter, yes, she performed at Carnegie Hall. She was a violin player and she was a dancer, and she'd been on stage many, many times. I had been on stage maybe a couple times in school in chorus or something, but so, yeah, I guess, I'm brought back to my first gig as a DJ. I probably had no business being out there in public and doing my thing. It was, I was self-taught. It was during the pandemic, and I had just started taking lessons, and then everything came unraveled, and I just started messing around in my basement, literally, like, you hear people say, oh, I'm a basement DJ and bedroom DJ. And I was just YouTubing and, figuring it out. And so that I had this opportunity to perform at this pretty big venue here. And I don't know what it was, but I just did it. And I hired a professional photographer and videographer. I'm like, this is a beautiful venue. We're going to take advantage of this. And, to this day, I have the video and on my website, and I just kind of I didn't go in like tiptoeing in with my little tail, but I don't know. I just, it's like, here she is. Ready or not, here I come. You know, I don't know. I guess I'm somewhat fearless, and that is part of my nature. And I think that helps me as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman. You have to be, you have to be comfortable with risk, and you have to be. So I guess that I feel confident in my abilities, and even to this day, I'll be getting ready for a gig, and I'll be downloading the music, and it's like that final couple steps of formatting and getting ready to put everything in, in the case and getting out, and I get butterflies, and I just think, why am I doing this? This is not for me. This is really not for me. This is for them, and then that just brings me to a place of comfort and confidence and happiness, because I figure it's all going to go well because I'm giving. I'm doing this for others. So then therefore I'm going to be supported, and it's going to be fine.
Wow, it's so interesting because you're intuitively doing something that I teach others and was taught myself, that in those moments where sometimes the doubts and the fears take over to the point of paralysis, one of the ways to help ourselves out is to come back to the why am I doing this? Because the why can trump the fear, the why can trump the self-doubt. So if
Absolutely.
I can reconnect with my passion, like, I don't like social media, I don't want to put things out there. Okay, but why am I putting things out there? Oh, because I love working with people and I love helping other women. Oh, so for that, I'll be willing to post on social media, because my why, my desire to help others, can trump my dislike of social media or my fear of putting myself out there and being seen. So I feel like what you just said is super duper important, and it seems to come naturally to you in kind of your fearlessness personality. There is the heart beats. There is the, oh my God, I can't believe I'm just about to do this. And yet, instead of letting that rule and take over, you go into, okay, but there's a bigger why there. And for that, I'm willing to risk.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird analogy, but it just popped into my head. It's like you're on horseback, you got your sword, you see them approaching the enemy and you're afraid, but it's just like something, you just got to go. You got to do it. And, it's originally when I first started DJing, or not even DJing, but in my basement and thinking about it and kind of developing my own sound, I thought it was just about the music. And then I realized the power of music and frequency and vibration and like what that can do for people. And so then I realized, oh, okay, I'm secretly a healer. And I can use this, I can leverage the power. It's on my website, it's everywhere. It's on my Instagram. It's like leveraging the awesome power of music to unite, to create community, to bring people together, to uplift and to heal. And so when I look at it from that perspective, and I'm like, this is my job, I'm a warrior, I'm a healer, I'm out there like, a soldier of love or whatever it is. And I want to bring people together and bring down all the divides. And, it really, music is truly a universal language, right? You don't really need to understand the lyrics. You're with other people and we're all kind of vibing to the same thing. And it's magic. It really is. And I guess I recognized that at some point, and I was like, wow, this is really powerful. And I have, I have books, and, this is your brain on music. And all women are healers. We have some other, plants and whatnot, but I just, I think it's my calling. And I think, somebody once called me a late bloomer a couple of years ago. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Better late than never, it's like, I think I figured it out. I think I finally figured it out. So whatever I can do, I really do. It brings me joy to inspire women of all ages, but it really brings me joy just to inspire everybody, anybody. I mean, I've had people of all ages, men, women, come up to me and thank me for what I'm doing and for my healing music and for creating community and for supporting artists. And it just brings me such joy. So I know it's got to be, I must be on to something. I must be on the right track.
And that's very important. I feel like there is the kind of inner knowing where if this feels good, it must be good. You know, if this feels like in alignment, if this is flowing, if people are responding, then, you know, how can that be the wrong path? Have you bumped at all into self-doubts along the way?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to lie. I mean, DJing is a male dominated field. It's super competitive. I would actually venture to say it's cutthroat. It can be. And, you know, yeah, sometimes people will kind of make you feel, you know, oh, how long have you been doing this? And they start asking you questions and they start kind of poking and trying to see, like, I don't know. So sometimes, yeah, I guess sometimes I never question whether I should be doing it or not, because I feel I'm very confident that I'm in the right spot. I'm doing what I should be doing right now. And if I sometimes feel like somebody's calling me out on something technical, then I take that as, okay, yeah, that sometimes it's valid. Maybe sometimes it's not, but I then will say, I'm going to do whatever it takes to become the best at what I'm doing. So if I want to take some master mixing classes or just continue to learn and to grow and to be the best that I can be. And it's not about ego. It's about, you know, just the craft and then just perfect. Well, I don't know if you could ever perfect it, but just to on a personal level, you know, look, I knew nothing and I've pretty much, you know, taught myself. I've taken lessons here and there and I want to continue and I want to learn from other DJs, but yeah, they, you know, sometimes, but mostly it's been positive. Positive. Or people say, how long have you been doing this? You've been doing this all your life? And I was like, no, I've been doing this for about 2-3 years. And they're like, wait, you just started doing this at this age? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, you seem like you've been doing this forever. And I'm like, well, because I love it. And that's why. But so it just encourages me to just get better,
Yeah. And by the way, I think that's not necessarily a given, right? Because for a lot of people, unfortunately, you know, you hit like a bump on the road, or you know, somebody points out to you and all of a sudden you don't feel good enough. And that will be a great excuse to kind of talk yourself out of it. Oh, I shouldn't be doing it. I'm not good enough. I'm not up to par with, it's not perfect. Is that, oh, you know, quit. So what I like about the quality that you're bringing and perhaps even inviting is, well, can that be an impetus, a reason, sort of I'm looking for a word that is not coming to me, to actually allow this to be my next growth spurt, rather than have it be a reason to beat myself over the head that I might not be good enough.
Well, that I had an experience about 1.5 years ago. I was invited to a big house party in Pennsylvania, in Poconos, I guess, and I went with a bunch of DJs, and I was scheduled to DJ. I don't know if I was like on the lineup, but there was like open deck time where I could just jump on, and I did downstairs. But then I was invited to DJ upstairs. That was kind of like the main stage, and I got intimidated, and I didn't do it, and I beat myself up. I felt horrible for weeks. And I even reached out to one of the DJs that was at the party. And I was like, I don't know why I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And I feel badly. I should have done it. And so that's probably one of the few times that I just I cowered a little bit. And I didn't think I was good enough. And so I went back. Was it this past? Was invited back to that, you know, they have house parties pretty regularly there. And I went back and I did it. And I'm not going to say I killed it, but I did a good job, and it made me, I redeemed myself, but I was so disappointed in myself. I can't even describe it. It ate at me for days and days and weeks and weeks and weeks. And I was miserable, and I was so disappointed. I'm like, that's never going to happen again.
So
not going
hold
to
on. For
happen
me,
again.
this is like I wanna stay on this for a second, and I feel like I can bring us to a nice conclusion to this
Hmm.
story, because that feeling of letting myself off the hook from the thing that I really, really want feels really important to me, especially in the line of my work, and especially because I encounter a lot of women, we can say people, it doesn't have to be women specifically, who let themselves off the hook from the thing that they really, really want. And I feel like this experience that you just shared, like you felt this disappointment inside, so much so that you luckily had a chance to go back and change it, but also you saw how much it mattered to you. Like you saw that you let yourself off the hook because of insecurity, and that was not okay. Like that, not going for it was not okay. And that is such an amazing thing to be able to do. You know, you've reached your midlife, you left your marriage, you changed your job, you stepped into kind of your calling, you changed your name even. Like
Hmm.
you really jumped into this, you know, kind of wholeheartedly. And I think it's beautiful to show that there's the humps along the way. It's not like, okay, let me do that. Yeah, you know, this. It's like but what strikes me here that I want to kind of put out there is that you keep choosing it, and the importance of choosing it. Like, yes, it's hard and I'm going to choose it again. Yes, I experienced, you know, doubts at moments, but I'm still choosing it. I'm choosing it as I go along. I'm still choosing it. And I choose to go back and kind of correct myself and show up in a new way. And so, given all that you've been through and all that you're doing now, I guess, what would you like to tell others who are out there struggling, who might not have the same courage and fearlessness that you do, but they still want to maybe go for things that they're afraid to go for? And there, I think that, and I would just also add, I think so much of it is the fear of what will people say about me. You know, like, oh, all of a sudden I changed my name and all of a sudden I'm this person, all that, like, there's like such fear of what is going to be, what will people think of me?
Right. Well, that's that's a lot. You know, at this point in my life, I think it's partially due to age. Like, I don't care. I really don't care what people are going to comment or what they think, or she changed this. She does what she's doing. What? She changed her name. Who is she? Who does she think she is? Like, I don't really care because it feels right. It feels
Mm.
good. It feels right. I changed my name because my name never resonated with me. And now I feel like it does. And I feel like it lifts me up and it makes me feel, you know, like that's who I am, you know. And if you're feeling like you're stuck and you need a change, I mean, meditation really, Rebecca from Blue Rock. I mean, she kind of introduced me to a whole spirituality. I'm not going to lie, it's a big part of my life and who I am. And that was really a big part of my transformation.
Mm.
I was never a religious person growing up. My life was devoid of religion. I had Irish Catholic dad, English Protestant mother. Neither of them were religious at all. And therefore it was just completely missing from my life. And then so later in life, I became, you know, spiritual, and it's grounded me and it's given me so much hope and confidence. And so I think you know, you have to do some soul searching, and you have to, I guess it's not easy. It's not an easy fix, because I think kind of what you have to find the thing, you know, you have to find the thing that you feel like that's your calling, that you're good at, that you're meant to do. I feel like this is what I was really meant to do. But everything else along the way was part of it as well. Like, you can't be
Yep.
this without having done all that. And that was the part of the journey. And everybody, you know, you do it at your own pace. And it's like recalibrating. You just have to kind of take inventory and take stock of your life. So for me, I was like a little gardener, and I was having to kind of weed and change some things. And like, whoop, this is, you know, life is too short. I
Mhm.
deserve to be happy. And I don't want to settle. I said that so many times when it came to my relationship, my lifestyle, my job. I just found myself like looking around at all of it. And I was like, so I didn't do it. Well, I kind of did it all at once. I did kind of do it all at once. And I think you just have to say, what makes me feel good? I deserve it. I deserve to be happy. I think it's hard for women to accept that. You know, somebody just told me the other day, I said, well, I care about the environment and I'm trying to save the planet and I'm trying to heal people. And they're like, it's just enough. Just be happy. Just do what makes you happy. And I was like, I don't know about that. But so you really have to do some soul searching and figure out, you know, what it is that lights that fire. It's one of the things that I say about the evening salon that I do. It's like, you know, just be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. Once you find what that is, and some people may take them a long time, and hopefully people will find it eventually. But once you find what that is that sets your soul on fire, you just have to be relentless in the pursuit and just go after it. Don't just like, you know, go after you have to chase your dreams. You have to chase them. Life is too short, and you just, you know, you have to take the bull by the horns, and it's not easy. It's not easy. And sometimes, you know, you can find in your inner circle, and once you start to kind of share it. See, I find that when I'm able to manifest things because I give it a lot of thought first. You know, it's like even like a business endeavor or a new project, or you have to kind of do your homework and have a plan. But once you decide you're going to do it and you lock in on that, then it's even the way you talk about it, you know? So when I decided I want to go to Burning Man, I didn't say, I want to go to Burning Man. I think I'm going to go to Burning Man. No, it was like, I'm going to Burning Man. I had no business saying that, but then it just, same thing with Costa Rica, or, you know, once I say I'm going to do it, you just have to, it's all in the language, and you just have to believe it. You just have to see it in your mind's eye. That's a really important part. I remember there are gigs that I would nervous about, or trips or things or whatever. I'm nervous, and I just would sit back, and in my mind's eye, I'd close my eyes, and I would see myself doing the thing and being successful and being happy, and it worked out. And it's just, you have to see it almost before it happens.
Yeah. Thank you. So many nuggets of wisdom, and it's so true. Like, where is your energy flowing? If it's flowing into, I'm not sure, I don't know, it's diffused, it's not. But if you, like, as you say, you lock in on the target and you put it there, then it goes there. And what I want to stay with is what your words of, I don't want to settle. Life is short. I don't want to settle. And I want to put out this question out there. Like, what are you settling with or on? Or what's the word in English? What are you selling? What would be the question correctly, grammarly?
You mean like why people settle, why people don't?
No. Like, like, what are you settling rather than asking for more? Are you just settling? And not to you, I want to put it out there to the world. And if you feel like you are, then what are you going to do about it? And one of the things that you said too, which I really agree with, is that external change, for them to be really aligned, have to come with internal change, and it does start from within. So thank you for pointing that out, and thank you so much for sharing so much of yourself today. It's fantastic. And for anybody who's listening, you know, I'm going to link your website or anything else you want me to under the video, so you can check out, you know, the great work and music events and artist salon and all that stuff, and of course my stuff, and how I help women in their midlife and beyond come out of hiding, so that we don't feel like we're settling because we have this one life to live, at least how we are in these bodies.
Exactly.
And life is too short for us to not feel good about ourselves and alive, and you know,
we're all here for a purpose. Every single one of us, we're here for a reason. And I think that's what gives you comfort and you know, the reason to kind of keep going. It's because when you feel like, yep, this is right, this is my purpose, this is my calling, then it somehow gives you the strength and the courage, I think, to pursue.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.